I'm Valerie, a single mom, a lawyer, a woman who was thrown out of her home in the middle of a snowstorm just because I couldn't have children. But that wasn't the end. It was the beginning of something unimaginable. I gave birth prematurely at a train station, washed dishes with bleeding hands, and somehow I rebuilt my entire life from the ashes. Before I share the full journey with you, let me know where you're watching from in the comments, hit the like button, and subscribe if you've ever made it through something you thought you couldn't. Trust me, you'll want to hear what happened next. The snow was falling sideways that morning, December 23rd, when my husband told me to get out. I stood in our kitchen, his kitchen, as he'd reminded me, clutching a mug of coffee that had gone cold. Through the floor-to-ceiling windows, aspen stretched out like a Christmas card. All white peaks and pine trees heavy with fresh powder. The kind of view that cost him, $12 million. The papers are on the counter, Damien said, adjusting his cufflinks. Always the cufflinks first, then the watch. 7 years of marriage, and I knew his morning routine better than my own heartbeat. Margaret will help you pack. You have until noon. I set the mug down carefully. My hands weren't shaking yet. That would come later. Because I can't have children? The words came out smaller than I'd intended. He looked at me then, really looked at me, for the first time in months. His gray eyes, the ones I'd fallen for at that biotech conference in Geneva, were as cold as the marble countertops. Because you lied about it. He picked up his briefcase. Dr. Chen confirmed yesterday. Your condition is irreversible. You've known for years. Dr. Chen, my fertility specialist. The one I'd been seeing twice a week for the past 8 months. The one whose lipstick I'd noticed on Damien's collar last Tuesday. I wanted to laugh or scream. Instead, I pressed my palm against my stomach, where a secret pulsed beneath my cashmere sweater. 8 weeks. 2 heartbeats on the ultrasound I'd hidden in my jewelry box. The appointment Damien knew nothing about because I'd paid cash, used a different name. Some instinct had told me to keep it quiet until Christmas morning. My gift to him. I'll take the Mercedes, I said. The Mercedes is in my name. He headed for the door. As is everything else. Your lawyer can contact mine about the settlement. It's generous, considering. The door closed with a soft click. Rich people don't slam doors. We close them quietly while we destroy each other. I climbed the stairs to our bedroom, his bedroom, and pulled out the small suitcase I'd brought to this house 7 years ago. Inside the jewelry box, beneath the ultrasound photo, were the papers from Mountain View Women's Clinic. Different from Dr. Chen's pristine office, a place where they asked if you felt safe at home, where they didn't judge when you paid in cash. Margaret appeared in the doorway, Damien's housekeeper for 15 years. Her eyes were red. Mrs. Roth, Quinn? I corrected. I think I'll go back to Quinn. She pressed something into my hand, a roll of bills. Take it, please. I can't. You can. You will. Her voice was fierce. I know what he is, what he's been doing. Take it and go. I packed quickly. 7 years folded into one suitcase. The ultrasound tucked between sweaters. My mother's rosary, the one thing that was truly mine. The snow kept falling, erasing tire tracks as fast as cars made them. At 11:59, I stood at the front door. The house loomed behind me, all glass and steel and emptiness. I'd chosen every piece of furniture, every painting. Now it felt like a museum to someone else's life. I walked to the gate. 3 miles to town in heels and a coat meant for car-to-door transitions, not actual weather. My phone buzzed. Damien. The accounts are already frozen. Don't embarrass yourself. The cold bit through my coat. 23 degrees. The bank sign said. $300 in my wallet, thanks to Margaret. 2 babies the size of raspberries growing inside me. No car, no home, no plan. I touched my stomach again. Okay, I whispered to them, to myself. Okay. The first step away from the gate was the hardest. The second was easier. By the time I reached the bus stop, I wasn't looking back. Snow collected on my shoulders, melted on my cheeks, or maybe those were tears. Behind me, the house on the hill disappeared into the white. Good, I thought. Let it all disappear. I had something he didn't know about, something he couldn't take. I had tomorrow, Seattle rain isn't like Aspen snow. Snow covers things up, makes them clean. Rain just makes everything heavier. I found the apartment, if you could call it that, above La Cocina de Teresa after sleeping in the Greyhound station for 2 nights. The for rent sign was handwritten in Spanish and English, taped to a window so greasy I could barely read through it. "You don't look like you belong here," Teresa said when I asked about it. She was maybe 60, built like a fire hydrant, with hands that had seen real work. "I need to belong somewhere," I said. She looked at me, really looked. At my designer coat gone shapeless from rain. My heels with the broken strap I'd fixed with duct tape. The way I kept touching my stomach. $600 a month, first and last up front. No parties, no drugs. You help in the restaurant when it's busy. I counted Margaret's bills. "I have 800. "Then you have 200 for food." She handed me the key. "Stairs are in the back, bathrooms down the hall. Hot water works most days." The apartment was 1 room, a hot plate, a mattress that smelled like the previous tenant's cigarettes, a window that looked out on a dumpster. I sat on the floor and cried until I threw up. Then I cleaned the toilet with bleach I found under the sink and threw up again. Morning sickness, the internet at the library told me. Perfectly normal. Nothing about my situation felt normal. I started washing dishes that night. $3 under minimum wage, cash only. Teresa didn't ask about documents. The other workers, Luis, Carmen, Miguel, didn't ask about the gringa who knew which fork went where but not how to load a commercial dishwasher. My hands blistered, cracked, bled. I wrapped them in duct tape and kept working. The smell of food made me sick. Teresa noticed me running to the bathroom between orders. "How far along?" she asked one night, handing me saltines and ginger ale. 12 weeks. I couldn't lie to her. She'd been nothing but kind. "The father?" "Doesn't know. Doesn't care." She nodded. "Men. My husband left me with 3 kids in Juarez. I crossed the desert pregnant with the 4th. She pointed to Miguel, the line cook. "That one, 30 years ago. Now he makes the best mole in Seattle." "I'm having twins," I whispered. First time I'd said it out loud. "Then you eat twice as much." She pushed a plate of rice and beans at me. No arguments. I learned the rhythm. Morning shift at the restaurant. Afternoon at the food bank, sorting donations. Evening shift back at the restaurant. My belly grew, my feet swelled. I hid it all under an apron that got tighter each week. One night, a man in a suit came in just before closing. Heart attack at table 6. He fell forward into his enchiladas, gasping. Everyone froze. I didn't think. 7 years of charity luncheons had required CPR certification. I pulled him to the floor, tilted his head back, started compressions. His ribs cracked under my hands. I kept going. "Call 911!" I screamed. Kept pumping. Breathe, pump, breathe. His lips were blue. Pump, breathe. Come on. The paramedics arrived. Took over. The man's eyes fluttered open as they loaded him onto the gurney. "You," he whispered. "What's your name?" "Valerie. You saved—" He couldn't finish. The oxygen mask covered his face. Teresa closed the restaurant early. Made me sit. Fed me soup. "You did good," she said. I destroyed his ribs. "Better broken ribs than dead." She studied me. "You're not just some rich lady running from a bad marriage." "I was. Rich, I mean. The marriage was bad too. But you're more than that." I touched my belly. Felt the flutter that might have been movement or might have been hunger. "I'm trying to be." The man came back 2 weeks later. Michael Avery, retired federal judge. He ate slowly, carefully. Left a $1,000 tip. "For the woman who saved me," he told Teresa. I tried to give it back. He refused. "You gave me more time," he said. "Let me give you a chance. What's yours?" The money went to the deposit on a real apartment. One with actual walls, a door that locked. A bathroom I didn't share with 4 other families. It wasn't much, but it was mine. 28 weeks. That's when the pain started. I was waiting for the last bus to Harborview's free clinic, standing under the awning at King Street Station. Rain hammered the pavement. My back had been aching all day, but I'd blamed it on the double shift. Carrying plates for 12 hours at 7 months pregnant with twins wasn't exactly doctor recommended. The first real contraction knocked me to my knees. "No," I gasped. "Not yet, please, not yet." A hand gripped my elbow. Michael Avery, holding an umbrella that did nothing against the sideways rain. "Valerie, my God, what are you—" Another contraction. I felt something warm run down my legs. Not rain. "Hospital," I managed. Now. He didn't ask questions. Half carried me to a Lincoln town car that smelled like leather and old books. I bled on his seats, apologized. He told me to shut up and breathe. The ER was a blur. Forms I couldn't fill out. Insurance I didn't have. They wanted to transfer me to county. "No," Michael's voice cut through the noise. "She stays here. I'll handle the billing office." "Sir, that's not how— Judge Michael Avery, federal bench for 20 years. This woman saved my life. She stays. They kept me. Magnesium drip to stop labor. Steroid shots for the baby's lungs. 24 hours of willing my body to hold on, to give them more time. It wasn't enough. Emma came first. 3 pounds, 2 ounces. Then Ethan, 2 pounds, 15 ounces. They whisked them away before I could touch them. The NICU was another world. Machines breathing for babies who should still be inside me. Wires and tubes and alarms that meant someone's child was dying. Mine were fighters. That's what the nurses said. Good numbers, considering. Considering what? Considering their mother was a failure who couldn't keep them safe for 9 months? I lived in that NICU. Pumped breast milk every 3 hours. Learned to change diapers through incubator ports. Sang lullabies to babies who might not make it through the night. Michael came every day, brought coffee, sat in uncomfortable chairs. His wife had died 6 months ago, he told me. Pancreatic cancer. Quick, but not quick enough. "She would have liked you," he said, watching me hold Emma for the first time without wires. Beth always rooted for fighters. "I'm not fighting, I'm drowning." Same thing sometimes. The bills came. 100,000, 200. NICU care costs 4,000 a day. Times 2 babies, times 40 days. I called Damien's lawyer. Pride tastes like ashes when your babies need medicine. "Mr. Roth denies paternity," the lawyer said, "without proof." "I have proof. DNA test, I'll send it." "He'll require independent verification. Then he can pay for it." Silence. "I'll relay your message." Damien himself called an hour later. First time I'd heard his voice in 4 months. "Valerie." Still saying my name like it was a wine he was considering sending back. "They're yours," I said. "You know they are." "I know you're desperate, but claiming—" "Emma has your eyes. Ethan has your chin. Come see for yourself." "My lawyer says, fuck your lawyer, Damien. They're your children. They're sick. They need help." He hung up. Teresa brought food to the hospital. Tamales and soup and prayers to the Virgin of Guadalupe. She held Emma while I pumped, sang Spanish lullabies that made both babies' heart rates steady on the monitors. "You don't do this alone," she said. "No one does this alone." Michael had contacts. A lawyer who worked pro bono. A social worker who knew the system. Forms for emergency Medicaid. WIC applications. Food stamps. Each one felt like admitting failure. I filled them out anyway. "It's not charity," the social worker said. "It's a safety net. That's what it's for." Emma came home first. 4 pounds, breathing on her own. Ethan stayed another week. Feeding tube. Heart monitor that would beep at home, reminding me every second that he was fragile. The apartment felt too small with all the equipment. Too quiet when they slept. Too loud when they cried. I sat between their bassinets at 3 a.m., pumping milk, and wondered if love was enough. It had to be. It was all I had left to give them. Michael found me crying over formula prices at Safeway. "Law school," he said. "Evening program. I'll write the recommendation. I can't even afford diapers." "That's why you need law school, to never feel this powerless again." I looked at my babies in their secondhand stroller. At my hands, rough from dishes and bottles. At this man who owed me nothing but kept showing up. "Okay," I said. "Okay." 4 a.m., feed babies. 5 a.m., pump. 6 a.m., drop them at subsidized daycare. 7 a.m., bus to work. 3 p.m., pick up babies. 4 p.m., second feeding, tummy time, pray they nap. 6 p.m., online classes. Midnight, collapse, repeat. The community law program met in a converted strip mall. Fluorescent lights that hummed, chairs that wobbled. Professor Martinez, who'd grown up in the same neighborhood where I now lived. "Law isn't about justice," she said that first night. "It's about power. Who has it? Who doesn't? how to get it, how to use it. I took notes until my hand cramped. The internship at Women's Safe Harbor wasn't required. But when I saw the flyer, legal aid for domestic violence survivors, something pulled at me. "You sure about this?" Michael asked over coffee. He'd become my Wednesday morning ritual. His treat, my sanity. "It won't be easy." Nothing is easy. Emma had kept me up all night with an ear infection. At least this might mean something. The first client was Maria, broken orbital bone. Husband who knew exactly where to hit so bruises wouldn't show in court. 3 kids, no money, no English. I translated while the senior advocate took notes, helped fill out the restraining order, held her hand when she cried. "He says he'll take the children back to Mexico," Maria whispered in Spanish. "Says no one will believe illegal." "You're not illegal," I said. "You're undocumented, and you have rights." I stayed late researching immigration law. VAWA protections, U visa eligibility. Wrote a memo that made the senior advocate raise her eyebrows. "You're good at this," she said. "I'm angry at this." The words surprised me, but they were true. Every case was a mirror. Jennifer, whose husband tracked her phone. Sarah, whose joint accounts were suddenly empty. Amy, who'd been told she was crazy so many times she'd started to believe it. I saw myself in all of them. Saw what I could have become if I'd fought back sooner, or later, or not at all. Ethan's breathing monitor went off during criminal procedure. I ran out of class, called 911 from the parking lot. False alarm. The nurse at Seattle Children's was kind about it. "First time, Mom?" she asked. "First time for everything." I held him against my chest, felt his heartbeat steady against mine. The other law students were 23, 24, fresh from undergrad. They studied in coffee shops and complained about hangovers. I studied in the NICU waiting room, in line at the food bank. While the washing machine at the laundromat spun clothes I'd washed too many times already, Elliot Tran was the only other non-traditional student, 35, former Microsoft engineer who'd quit to defend his mother in an employment discrimination case. Lost. Decided to learn how to win next time. "You look tired," he said one night, sliding me a coffee during break. "Thanks, real charming." "I meant," he blushed. You work harder than anyone here. It shows." He started sitting next to me, sharing notes when I missed class for pediatrician appointments, bringing extra sandwiches because his mom made too much. His mom, who barely spoke English, but somehow knew I needed feeding. "She likes you," he said. "Says you have good eyes." "I have tired eyes." Same thing in Vietnamese. We studied together. Civil procedure and diaper changes, torts and teething. He made flashcards. I made formula. Somehow it worked. The twins turned one in the law school library. Elliot brought cupcakes. Michael brought balloons. Teresa brought tamales and half the restaurant staff. The security guard told us to quiet down. We ate cake in whispers, and it felt like victory. "Look at them," Teresa said, watching Ethan take his first wobbling steps between the stacks. "Look what you made. I'm barely keeping us afloat." "No," Michael's voice was firm. "You're teaching them how to swim." That night, I found an envelope under my door. Photos from the party. The twins covered in frosting. Me laughing at something Elliot said. Looking like someone I almost recognized. Looking happy. I taped the photos above my desk. Evidence, I told myself, that we could be okay. That we could be more than okay. Finals week, Emma got pneumonia. I took the contracts exam on 2 hours of sleep, wearing the same shirt I'd slept in at the hospital. Got the highest grade in class. "How?" a classmate asked. "When you've already lost everything," I said. "You're not afraid of failing." But I was learning something else too. I hadn't lost everything. I'd found things I didn't know I was looking for. 3 years. That's how long I managed to avoid him. The case file landed on my desk on a Tuesday. Barrett v. Barrett. Routine divorce, the senior partner said. High assets, custody dispute. The wife needed someone who understood the numbers. I understood numbers now. Understood how men like Richard Barrett, CFO of Roth Biogen, hid assets in shell companies and offshore accounts. Understood how they weaponized wealth against the women who'd helped them build it. "June Barrett's been referred by 3 other firms," my supervisor explained. "They say she's difficult." "Difficult how?" "She insists her husband is hiding millions, can't prove it, Gets emotional in meetings. Emotional. Code for woman who won't shut up about being screwed over. I'll take it, I said. June Barrett was 45. Blonde, going gray at the roots. Chanel suit that had seen better days. Hands that shook when she opened her files. 20 years, she said. I gave him 20 years. Raised his kids, hosted his dinners, smiled when he brought his mistresses to company parties. We'll get you what you're owed, I said. I don't want what I'm owed. I want him to hurt like I hurt. I understood that too. We spent weeks on discovery. Financial records that didn't add up, transfers to accounts that didn't exist, a paper trail that led to subsidiary companies I recognized. Roth Biogen, Damien's company. My hands went cold. You okay? June asked. You look pale. Fine, this transaction here. Tell me about it. The mediation was scheduled for December 10th. I prepared June like I was preparing for war, which, in a way, I was. Richard will have his whole team, I warned. They'll try to intimidate you. Don't let them. Will you be there? Every minute. The conference room at Baker & Associates smelled like leather and old money. Richard Barrett sat across the table with 2 lawyers. His lead counsel stood to introduce himself. The world tilted. Damien. Armani suit. Same cologne. Same way of holding his hands when he was about to go for the jugular. His eyes met mine. Widened. His gaze dropped to my left hand. No ring. Then to the photos on my leather portfolio. Always visible. My armor and my reason. Emma and Ethan at 3. Grinning, matching dimples. Their father's chin and eyes, unmistakable. I watched the color drain from his face. Counselor, I said, shall we begin? My voice didn't shake. Miracle number 1. He cleared his throat. I didn't realize you were practicing law? Yes, 3 years now. I opened my file. Our client is seeking equitable distribution of marital assets, including the hidden accounts in the Caymans. Alleged hidden accounts, his co-counsel corrected. Documented hidden accounts. I slid the evidence across the table. Would you like to see the transfer records, or should we skip to the forensic accounting report? The mediation took 4 hours. Damien said maybe 10 words. His hands shook when he signed the settlement. 50-50 split. Full financial disclosure. Everything June deserved. Thank you, she whispered as we packed up. He looked terrified of you. Just doing my job. Damien cornered me by the elevators. Valerie. Ms. Quinn. I pressed the down button. Pressed it again. Those children in the photos, are none of your concern. They look like... His voice cracked. How old are they? Old enough to know they deserve better than a father who denies their existence. The elevator opened. I stepped in. He blocked the door. I didn't know. You didn't want to know. I met his eyes, the same gray as Ethan's. You hung up when I told you they were sick, when they needed help, when I needed help. I could have... No, you couldn't. You can't. You won't. The door tried to close. He didn't move. Let me go, Damien. You're good at that. He stepped back. The doors closed on his face. I made it to my car before the shaking started. Sat in the parking garage for 20 minutes, breathing through the panic. My phone buzzed. Michael. How did it go? I won. And I saw him. Silence. Then, come to dinner. Bring the kids. Elliot's already here. We're making pasta. It's Tuesday. So we're making Tuesday pasta. I drove to the daycare, collected my babies, let them chatter about finger painting and goldfish crackers. Didn't think about gray eyes and what ifs. We had dinner with our chosen family. That was enough. That was everything. The first letter came through my office. Professional letterhead. Damien's personal attorney, not the firm. Ms. Quinn, my client wishes to discuss establishing paternity and pursuing visitation rights. I threw it in the trash. The second came to my apartment. Same message. Added a line about financial support retroactive to birth. That one I burned. The third came with flowers to the daycare. The teacher called, concerned. There's a man outside. Says he's the twins' father. Has documentation. I broke every speed limit getting there. Found Damien standing by the playground fence, watching Emma and Ethan play. They were building sandcastles, oblivious. Get away from them. My voice came out raw. I just wanted to see... You have no right. They're my children. They're my children. You threw us away, remember? Frozen accounts? No car? December in Aspen? He flinched. I made mistakes. Mistakes? I laughed. Bitter. Sharp. Is that what we're calling it? Emma looked up at the sound. Waved. Mama, look, castle! I waved back, smiled, kept my body between them and Damien. Please, he said, can we talk? Through lawyers. If you come near them again, I'll file a restraining order. I thought that would end it. Should have known better. Men like Damien don't hear no. They hear try harder. He filed for paternity testing, visitation, joint custody, the works. He can't win, Elliot said, reading through the filing. We were at his apartment. The kids were asleep in his bed. We'd been dating for 6 months, taking it slow, building something real. He has money, good lawyers. You have truth, better lawyers. He pulled me close. You have us. But truth didn't stop the process server at Emma's dance recital. Didn't stop the court dates that conflicted with Ethan's therapy appointments. Then Ethan collapsed at preschool. The ER doctor was blunt. Autosomal dominant polycystic kidney disease. Genetic. Usually doesn't present until adulthood, but sometimes. Treatment? Management for now, maybe dialysis later. Transplant eventually. She paused. We'll need family medical history. Both sides. Both sides. The side that raised them and the side that pretended they didn't exist. I called Damien's lawyer. Medical emergency? Need his history. Mr. Roth will comply with court-ordered. His son is in the hospital, right now. I need that medical history right now. Damien himself called back an hour later. What's wrong? What happened? I explained. Medical terms I'd just learned. Prognosis I didn't understand. Tests they needed to run. I'll be there in 20 minutes. No. Valerie, please, he's my son. Is. The verb tense that changed everything. He came, brought his complete medical history, his father's, his grandfather's, a genetic counselor he'd called from the car. PKD runs in my family, he said quietly. My father had it. I'm monitored yearly. You never told me. I never thought. He stopped. I didn't think I'd have children. The risk. But you tried anyway, with Dr. Chen. She said IVF could screen for it, reduce the chances. Guess that didn't work out. I watched Ethan sleep, so small in the hospital bed. None of it worked out how you planned. No, he said, it didn't. We sat in silence. Parents united by a sick child and nothing else. I'll pay, he said finally. Everything. The best doctors, whatever he needs. We have insurance. Not for the specialists at Children's, not for the experimental treatments. Let me help. Under what conditions? No conditions. He's my son. I should have. His voice broke. I should have believed you. Should have been there. Yes, you should have. Emma wandered in from the playroom. Elliot had been watching her. She stopped when she saw Damien, tilted her head. You're sad, she announced. A little, he admitted. When I'm sad, Mama hugs me. She considered. Do you need a hug? I watched my daughter, our daughter, offer comfort to the man who'd thrown us away. Watched him kneel to her level. That's very kind, but I'm okay. Mama says it's okay to not be okay. She patted his shoulder. That's why we have families. Damien looked at me over her head, tears in those gray eyes. Yeah, he said. That's why we have families. Later, after he'd left, after the genetics team had their samples, after Ethan woke up asking for juice, I sat in the dark and tried to reconcile the man who'd knelt before his daughter with the one who'd changed the locks while I was at a prenatal appointment. People change. Or maybe they just finally become who they always were, underneath. I didn't know which was true. Wasn't sure it mattered. What mattered was Ethan. Getting him better. Everything else could wait. The mediator's office had toys in the corner. Blocks, puzzles, distractions for children caught between parents who couldn't agree. Supervised visitation, I said. 2 hours once a week, public place. My client is seeking overnight visits, Damien's lawyer countered. His client disappeared for 3 years. Circumstances have changed. See? His circumstances, not mine. I pulled out the folder. 3 years of receipts. Every doctor visit, every prescription, every night in the ER. Where was his concern then? Damien spoke for the first time. You're right. His lawyer looked stunned. Mr. Roth. She's right. I wasn't there. He met my eyes. I'm asking for a chance to be there now. Why? Because they're my children. Because Ethan needs medical care I can provide. Because Emma deserves to know where she gets her stubbornness from. He paused. Because I've spent 3 years becoming someone who might deserve them. The mediator suggested a break. I escaped to the bathroom, splashed water on my face. My phone buzzed. Elliot. How's it going? Me, he's different. Elliot, different how? Me, human. Elliot, humans can still hurt you, be careful. But careful wasn't working anymore. The twins asked questions. Why did Ethan need special doctors? Why didn't they have grandparents like other kids? Why did Mama cry when she thought they were asleep? 1-month trial, I said when we reconvened. Supervised. You pay for the supervisor. Any violation, we're done. Agreed. And therapy for them. Them to process this, of course. And, I hesitated, and you answer their questions. All of them, honestly. Even the hard ones. Especially those. The first visit was at the Science Center. Neutral ground. Interactive distractions. The supervisor, a grandmotherly type named Patricia, kept notes. Emma dragged Damien to every exhibit. Look, touch this. It makes lightning. Ethan hung back, watching, evaluating, his father's son in ways that made my chest tight. Do you know about space? He asked finally. A little. Mama says I'm named after a star. Which one? Ethan means strong. He considered. Are you strong? I watched Damien process the question, the challenge in it. I'm trying to be. Mama's strong. She carried me and Emma up 3 flights of stairs when the elevator broke. That is strong. She didn't have help. Not an accusation, just fact. 3-year-old honesty. No, she didn't. Why? The question we'd all been waiting for. Emma stopped bouncing. Patricia's pen hesitated. Because I made bad choices, Damien said slowly. Because I was scared and selfish and wrong. Oh, Ethan digested this. Mama says everyone makes mistakes. We say sorry and do better. Your mama's very smart. Yeah, he took Damien's hand. Want to see the dinosaurs? After that, it got easier. Or harder. Both. Damien at doctor's appointments asking questions I'd forgotten to ask. At Emma's dance recital, filming with an expensive camera. Teaching Ethan chess during chemo treatments. He's good with them, Teresa observed, watching from the restaurant window as Damien helped them feed ducks at the park. He's trying. You're angry. Yes, but not as angry as before. No, she patted my hand. Good, anger's heavy. You've carried enough. The twins wrote him letters. Emma's were pictures mostly. Rainbows, hearts. For Dad, scrawled in purple crayon. Ethan's were questions. Why is the sky blue? What makes cars go? Why did you leave Mama? That last one he handed over during a particularly bad treatment day. His little body fighting medicine meant to save him. Damien read it, folded it carefully. I thought I needed perfect, he told Ethan. But perfect isn't real. Your Mama, she's real. You and Emma, you're real. That's so much better than perfect. Is that why you came back? That's why I'm trying to earn the chance to stay. I heard it all from the hallway. Wasn't eavesdropping, just couldn't move. Elliot found me there, sat beside me, said nothing. Sometimes love is just being present while someone else sorts through complicated feelings. I don't know how to forgive him, I whispered. You don't have to, but maybe... He chose words carefully. Maybe you can let go of hating him. For you, not him. The next week, I signed the papers. Joint custody, medical decisions, child support that would cover everything Ethan needed and more. This doesn't mean we're okay, I told Damien. I know. This is for them. I know. I'm marrying Elliot. The words tumbled out. He'd proposed the night before. Small ring, big promise. Something flickered in his eyes. He's a good man. He is. The twins are lucky. Yes, they are. We stood awkwardly. Co-parents, not friends, not enemies. Something undefined but necessary. Thank you, he said, for letting me try. I nodded, walked away. Felt lighter with each step. The Washington State Bar Association's ballroom glittered with the kind of light that only comes from champagne flutes and good intentions. 5 years of practice, and I still felt like I was playing dress-up at these events. Stop fidgeting, Elliot murmured, his hand warm on my back. You earned this. The Young Lawyer of the Year award sat heavy in my hands. The citation mentioned my work at the safe harbor, the pro bono hours, the legislation I'd helped draft protecting survivors' economic rights. It didn't mention the nights I'd studied in hospital waiting rooms, the times I'd walked to save bus fare, the woman I'd been before I became who I am. Michael raised his champagne from table 12. Teresa dabbed her eyes with a napkin she'd probably swiped from the restaurant. My chosen family, dressed in their best, sitting among Seattle's legal elite like they belonged. Because they did. Because they'd built me. Your speech was beautiful, someone said. A partner from a firm that had rejected my application twice. Thank you. We'd love to discuss opportunities. I'm happy where I am. And I was. My small firm didn't have marble lobbies, but we changed lives. That was enough. Emma and Ethan sat at our table, 7 years old now. Emma in a dress she'd insisted on picking herself. Ethan in his first suit, oxygen cannula barely visible. The kidney disease was managed, not cured. We took each good day as a gift. Mama, look, Emma pointed. It's Dad. I turned. Damien stood by the bar, nursing a scotch. He'd been invited by his firm, senior partner now. We'd worked opposite sides of 3 cases this year. Professional, cordial, nothing more. He raised his glass. A salute. I nodded back. Can we say hi? Ethan asked. Of course. They ran to him. He knelt, letting Emma fix his crooked tie while Ethan explained his latest science project. 4 years of shared custody had made them comfortable with the arrangement. 2 homes, 2 lives, 1 family split by geography and old wounds. Congratulations, he said when I approached. Well deserved. Thank you for coming. I wouldn't miss it. He studied me. You look happy. I am. Good, that's good. Elliot appeared, sliding his arm around my waist. The men nodded at each other. Polite, careful, the dance of blended families. We should get back, Elliot said. They're about to serve dinner. Of course. Damien squeezed the twins' shoulders. I'll see you guys Thursday. Chess tournament, Ethan reminded him. You promised. Wouldn't miss it. We returned to our table, to our people, to our life. The envelope arrived the next morning. No return address. Familiar handwriting. Inside, a letter from Damien's mother, the woman who'd called me trash at our engagement party, who'd said I'd never be good enough for her son. Valerie, I've written this letter a dozen times. Pride is a terrible editor. I was wrong. About you, about what matters, about everything. My son tells me you saved him. Not his life, though I understand you quite literally did that for a stranger once, but his soul. He says losing you taught him who he wanted to be, that you raised remarkable children without him, that you built a life from ashes. I've watched from afar, seen the articles, the awards, the family you've created. You weren't what I expected for my son. You were what he needed, what I was too blind to see. There's no forgiveness to ask for. Some wounds cut too deep. But I wanted you to know, you saved more than one person. You saved a family, even if we're no longer yours. With respect and regret, Eleanor Roth. I read it twice, 3 times, then folded it carefully and put it in the box where I kept important things. Not forgiveness, just acknowledgement. Sometimes that's enough. That night, we had dinner at Teresa's. The restaurant was closed, but the kitchen was alive. Miguel made mole. Carmen brought tres leches. The twins helped set tables, arguing about fork placement. Tell the story again, Emma demanded. About the snow. So, I did. About the house on the hill. The bus stop. The long walk to somewhere else. I'd told it different ways over the years. Tragedy, comedy, cautionary tale. Now I told it as what it was, a beginning. And then what? Ethan asked, though he knew. And then, I said, pulling him close, breathing in his little boy smell of hand sanitizer and hope. We became us. The lights were warm. The food was plenty. The people were mine. Outside, Seattle rain fell soft against windows. Inside, we were home. All of us, finally, home.